I guess you could say a special edition of America's Mayor Live. We'll be with the mayor. He's live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you're stuck with me, Ted Goodman, and my colleague here, Mike Ragusa,
That's right.
for the evening. But fear not, we will have plenty of the mayor tonight live from Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he's speaking at an event at Sheridan Church. And so we'll be tuning in live. You'll get plenty of the mayor there. But in the meantime, Mike, how are we doing tonight? Mike, you're from what part of New York are you from?
I live in Bay Ridge, Ted.
Bay Ridge. That's part of the city?
Raised in Canarsie.
Canarsie?
Yeah, Bay Ridge. It used to be Italian.
Bay Ridge. Now, this is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
This is Brooklyn. You're from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't, but when people from Brooklyn, they really say the neighborhood that they're from. You know, Brooklyn's a very big place.
Yeah.
But they're very proud of what neighborhood they're from.
Okay. So it's not.
Yeah.
So when you're visiting.
But when you go like to other
Florida,
places,
let's say you're in Florida.
Yeah, you just say Brooklyn.
You do just say
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
But when you're in New York City.
But you say Brooklyn, you don't say New York.
No, you say Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't say New York.
Yeah.
You say, like, if you go to another place.
Yeah. Let's say I'm going to bring you to
Brooklyn.
Michigan. You
Brooklyn.
You ask people where they're from. Mike, where are you from? Brooklyn.
Because if you say Bay Ridge in Michigan, they'll be like, what the hell is that?
But why not New York City?
No. Brooklyn. We're not Brooklyn people and are very proud of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They don't want to be from New York City. They're very proud of their borough.
Okay.
Very proud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, would you say the best pizza is found in Brooklyn? Or is that up for debate?
I'm biased, right? Because yes, but actually the original pizzeria in New York, this is also a fight, is actually in Manhattan, in Little Italy, Lombardi's, they say is the first American pizzeria, they say, allegedly. I don't know if that's true or not. But there are some very good pizzerias in Brooklyn. And sorry, people, it's not L&B Spumoni Gardens. That's a tourist trap. That's not the best pizzeria.
L&B
that's a tourist trap.
Yeah, so for all listeners, where should they go if they're visiting New York City? Give us some things to do that's not Times Square, which, by the way, I'd recommend people do if you've never been, right? But what are some more like give us a place in Brooklyn we should visit, people that aren't from New York, if they were to come to town. That would give them a real feel for the neighborhood, for the borough. And again, you said it's a very large. So Bay Ridge, for example.
So Bay Ridge.
If people want to visit Bay Ridge, what are they going to do?
So Bay Ridge is a very cultured place. It's a melting pot. You have Mediterranean food. You have a lot of Lebanese people, a lot of Syrian people, Italians, Greeks. Fifth Avenue is lined with Arab restaurants, Lebanese restaurants, Syrian restaurants.
Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn.
In Bay Ridge, yeah. Bay Ridge, yeah.
Bay Ridge, okay.
Third Avenue is lined with Italian restaurants, Greek restaurants. So Bay Ridge is a very culturally enriched neighborhood if you want food. 13th Avenue in Dyker Heights, 15th Avenue in Dyker Heights, all Italian pork stores, supermarkets, things like that. You know, Coney Island even has some good places. They have Totonno's, a very famous pizzeria. There's just in South Brooklyn, there's just so many places.
I take it Mayor Giuliani polls well.
Yes.
In your
yes. So, well, historically, yeah. Okay. Well, back when the mafia was there, he wouldn't pull. he wouldn't. He wouldn't pull. It used to be. Okay. Yeah, he used to be back in the 90s. And the 80s, he wouldn't pull very well, but nowadays he would pull if he ran. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, back then he wouldn't pull
because of his work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Although a lot of people,
look,
a lot of people, including a lot in the Italian American community, are proud of his work, right? And what he did in taking down the mafia, taking down that stain on the larger community, right?
Right. So South Brooklyn and Staten Island area, a lot of blue-collar city workers, law enforcement, sanitation, they all live there.
Yeah.
So they all love the mayor because, you know, of what he did for the city. So, yes, he would pull very well in those areas.
And that's one thing he did as mayor was with the sanitation department, right? He cleaned up those trucks and he wanted them, you know, dressing nicely because, you know, that's something we all see, right? Are the sanitation trucks. It's one of the things you see when you visit the city. And he really believed in what some would consider the small things. He would probably even tell us that these aren't the small things.
Well,
but something like that,
right?
Something as simple as having clean trucks, showing some pride in your work, dressing in uniform, that can lead to incremental change and then in greater change, right? In reversing a city's fortunes.
Right. And another thing in the mayor's claim to fame is that the city wanted to close firehouses, and he came up with a great idea. A lot of people don't know this. EMS and fire were separated. Health and hospitals owned EMS, and the fire department was just fire. So instead of closing firehouses and firemen losing their jobs, he merged the two. And FDNY took on EMS, and now we have FDNY EMS and firefighters. So firefighters started responding to EMS calls.
Wow.
So he saved thousands of firemen's jobs, and he didn't close any firehouses.
And that was another argument of his, and we've heard him talk about this when it comes to fire halls. Another reason he didn't want to close them down. A big part of fire response is time, right?
That's right.
How fast you can get there.
That's right.
And so he wanted to make sure, no matter what part of the city you were in, there was a fire hall, right? He cared more about that. A firehouse?
Yeah, we don't call it a hall. The house.
Interesting.
We don't call it a hole. That's like some kind of Midwestern crap.
Yeah, I'm from Michigan.
Yeah, we call it a house.
These are firehouses in New York.
We call it the house.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
But he believed in having these firehouses throughout the city,
Right.
so that they could respond in time.
So the whole purpose to merge EMS and fire also was and there's an engine company and there's a truck company. Engine companies only respond to EMS calls, only the serious calls. And an ambulance goes along with the engine company.
Yeah.
All firefighters are certified first responders, which is a downgrade from an EMT. So they responded heavy bleeding, asthma attacks, allergic reactions, things like this.
And
yeah, so that's what they do. So the mayor thought that was a good idea. So all firefighters are trained to be certified first responders.
Which is something you're
right. So I was FDNY EMS for 7 years.
Wow.
So that's what I did before I switched over to
and now you're at Rikers Island. We should
right. I work at I want to shout out to my boys that are doing God's work. Yeah, I want to shout out to my boys on SRT, SST, ESU, and K9, the elite units of DOC. Shouting out to my boys. I do work at Rikers Island. I'm not going to say in what capacity, but yes, that's what I do now. I switched over, trying to do God's work over there, Ted,
I mean, that is certainly my goodness. At Rikers Island, that might be one of the more well-known jails in the country.
It's the most infamous jail in the country, maybe even in the world.
Maybe in the world. We knew about it in Michigan.
Well, our good friend Bernie Kerrick was the commissioner there.
That's right.
Yes,
that's
he
right.
was.
Is that something? So that was before.
That was before he was the commissioner of the NYPD with the mayor.
Look, if you can, and by the way, I've never been. I'm not sure you're able to visit a place like that. This is what a working jail with some of the most serious offenders in the region, right, in New York City. And that must be and we could talk for hours about that. You're there every day, or 5 days a week.
5 days a week. 5 days a week.
And that's something else. There's thousands of people there. Would you say?
Probably right now about 7,000 inmates. Yeah.
7,000 inmates, all from New York City.
All from New York City. So common thing is Rikers Island is a jail. It's not a prison. These are inmates who are awaiting trial or they're sentenced for 2 years or less. Okay. So they call them city sentence. So they're people who got sentenced for minor crimes. So the other people are awaiting trial because they can't afford bail. And as you know, the liberals with their bail reform, these guys who are awaiting trial are the most violent offenders in the whole entire city.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Mike, of course, you also have somewhat of a political background. You're involved here in New York City, of course. You took some steps to run for city council.
Right. The first city council candidate ever endorsed by Mayor Giuliani, by the way.
Wow. And I suppose that we may hear from you again, that we may see you get involved again here, and not saying you're ready to announce yet. You're going to give us a political answer. See, you got a politician right here.
Well, I'm thinking of listening.
Keep the options open.
Maybe not. Unfortunately, my neighborhood went totally blue.
Okay.
For city council, the Republican who won the primary last year, he got annihilated. Wow. The neighborhood went 70%.
Wow.
Democrat. So it might be impossible to win that city council race. So maybe I have to think of other things like assembly or Brooklyn borough president. I don't know. Or maybe I just want to stay behind the scenes.
But there's look, I mean, what do you think it'll take to get to elect a Republican back to the mayor's office? Of course, Giuliani, the mayor did it. However,
dude,
how much of an uphill battle would that be?
That will be something crazy. Listen, like I said, unfortunately, we need this is what it is. I'm gonna be honest with everybody. I know we're all hardcore conservative people on this show. We're all MAGA people.
Yeah.
We need a moderate Republican mayor in this city.
Mhm.
No one will ever vote for a MAGA person in this city. We need someone like an Andrew Yang, who's maybe even a moderate Democrat. We don't need any leftist people. We need someone moderate to be the mayor of New York City. We're never ever going to get a full conservative Republican here. That's just the way it is. That's the truth. I'm a realist. I'm just being honest with you people. That's what it is. I work for the city and I know how it is. A true hardcore Republican MAGA person will never ever be the mayor of the city. And that's it. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is. And I'm sure the mayor will agree.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. So talk about Mayor Giuliani's legacy, right? You grew up, you and I are similar ages.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what it was like being you were a young person, right, when Giuliani was mayor,
Mm-hmm.
but you heard from your parents. I'm sure they talked about him, friends in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about.
Yeah. So my parents, they grew up, born and raised in Brooklyn. They had some horrible mayors, Koch, Dinkins. They lived through those times, and Dinkins was one of the worst mayors ever until De Blasio came along. I mean, that guy, holy crap. Times Square was a bombed out shithole. I mean, like there was prostitutes and everything, and the police were allowed to be police, and then Mayor Giuliani came along, and he let cops be cops. They cleaned up the city. He brought stop and frisk. He brought CompStat, a system to track crimes and all that stuff. He merged, like I said, he merged FDNY EMS and FDNY. He did all these things, and the city just like that just made a 180, and Mayor Bloomberg just didn't change anything, and it just stayed like that until Mayor Big Bird dumbass De Blasio came, and then that's when I was FDNY EMS, and I personally saw the decline of New York City, and now Mayor Adams, he's letting cops be cops, but for some reason the city is still in decline. I don't understand why.
Well, speaking of the mayor, we're going to go live now to Tulsa, Oklahoma. The mayor is at Sheridan Church. He's on stage now. So we're going to cut in live and hear from the mayor. We'll try to get back in there. We're having some issue with sound.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Rumble's having some issues.
We'll check in with that in a little bit.
Yeah, but like I was saying, Ted, Mayor Adams, last week he was literally sitting in front of all the police, right? And he was saying, crime is perception. He was saying all this crap and whatever. But guess what, Mayor Adams? I got CompStat right here. Okay. Let me read the stats about your perception crime. Okay. Let's see. As of last week, this is of 4/7, right? And your crime and your perception nonsense. Let me read this to you. Rape is up 27.6%. Rape, Ted.
Wow.
Yeah. Since last week. This is just a week.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I just want to let you guys know this is a week. All right. Robbery is up 10% in 1 week. Transit crimes from the old safe subway that he said was so safe is up 25%. What else is up? Let's see. I'm not done yet. Oh, let's see. Unconfirmed rape, 7.7%. Other sex crimes, 8%. So, Mayor Adams, tell me again how crime is perception. Please tell me. Please tell me. Stop lying to the people. Please stop. And all you liberals, stop going on the news and lying that crime is perception. Stop it. It's not perception. I work in law enforcement. Crime is not perception. People are getting arrested every day. Rikers' population is growing. Crime is not perception. Wake up. And you know how I know crime is not perception? Because the county executive on Long Island, okay, he wants to deputize private citizens just in case. This is from the New York Post. GOP-led Nassau County to deputize private citizens. Democrats are mad because they think it's a militia. This is how worried people are. Okay, Ted, what do you think of that? You agree with that? Do you agree with him doing this?
Look, it's I mean, look, we have to have a country where people are able to defend themselves and their families, right? And the idea that some of these public officials are putting the victims or putting the criminals ahead of the victims is just absurd.
You know what else is absurd? We're worried about congestion pricing, okay? I was driving to work the other day. There was traffic for literally no reason. As soon as I get into the Battery Tunnel, there's 75 cops there checking people's plates to see if they're obstructed. Because God forbid you don't pay a toll to the MTA. Do you know how much money the MTA makes on the Verrazano Bridge in one day? $3.8 million. That's one bridge. So imagine all the bridges that they own, how much money they're making. Meanwhile, people are getting stabbed and shot and pushed in front of trains every day. But Kathy Hochul is ordering our law enforcement officers to go check people's license plates. This is the kind of state we live in. And this drawn-on eyebrows elf is telling all these cops to check people's license plates. What is this? What is this, Ted? How do we live here?
Yeah, I don't know how it's gotten to this point and why these individuals keep getting reelected in a lot of cases, right? Or why these policies and people that
I'm beside myself.
Policies get reelected or get elected into office.
I'm beside myself.
Yeah, I can see that. And so what? So how can that? So how does this? How do we fix this in a place like New York City, where look, people are able to vote in, they can vote for change if they choose to. Right?
They could vote for change, but like I said before, same with the mayor, same with the governor thing. No MAGA person is going to win a governor or mayor in this state. It's just not happening because New York City decides the outcome of elections here because this is where the most of the population is. It's not upstate. It's here. Just like in Los Angeles, they decide the outcome of the California election. You know?
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we need someone moderate who appeals to both Democrats and Republicans. That's just what it is.
Wow. So let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back with more of America's Mayor Live.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. MyPillow promo code Rudy. Please help out the mayor, help out the show. Help out the cause because we tell you real news. Real news. You don't hear this news on the mainstream media, right, Ted?
That's right. That's right. You're not going to hear it anywhere else. You're not going to get
Mike Lindell, patriot, not a criminal, patriot. I don't care what anyone says.
That's right.
He's a patriot.
He's one of the best. So be sure to get those.
That's right.
MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Rudy.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to congestion pricing. The New York State Democrats had a chance to exclude first responders, nurses, teachers, people who are going to go get cancer treatment at Sloan Kettering. And guess what? They shot it down. So Democrats do not care about New Yorkers. So remember that when you go to the box and vote.
Speaking of New Yorkers, we're going to give this another try. Please try to hang with us. We're going to try to go to Mayor Giuliani. He's live in Tulsa, Oklahoma at Sheridan Church.
And I were in Palm Beach. We got in the car, we took out our photographic equipment, we got out some of the listings, and we played real estate agent, looking for comparable values. We found a mansion in the middle of Palm Beach, no access to either shore. Mar-a-Lago has both, only place on the island that has access to both the ocean and the intercoastal. It's got 8 buildings. It's profit making. I don't know how many people, you could put 300 people in there. This place was a 6-bedroom mansion in the middle of the island, no access, beautiful house, I'd love it. You know what they're asking for? $50 million. Mar-a-Lago is worth 20 times that. It's worth 20 times that. When he said it was worth $18 million, I went to Trump and I said, I'll buy it for 20. I don't have any money, but I'll borrow it. He looked at me and he said, well, yeah, Rudy, you're the only one I probably do that for, but my kids would get upset if I did that. But I mean, it's like, it's so ridiculous. Plus, the guy comes up with $345 million. I'm a lawyer. To create damages, there has to be a loss. Got to be based on something, right? You got hit by a car. You broke your arm. It cost $5,000 to fix your arm. You were out of work for 3 weeks and you lost $20,000, whatever, right? And this, that, and the other thing. So you have $30,000 in actual bills. And now you say, I also had pain and suffering, and the jury's allowed to multiply. If it multiplies it too much beyond that, it becomes irrational. So where's the number he starts with? Nobody lost any money. What does he start with, 0? What's 50 times 0? 0. Not only that, a lot of banks made money. So I contend he's got to pay Trump. There is no such thing as fraud if nobody took a loss. The crime exists. It's just an exercise in futility if nobody took a loss. And it's not your job as the miserable attorney general to bring a case like this as and then to come up with that number is crazy. And to sit by and watch the judges, like even on the appellate court, when they brought it down to 140, that's based on nothing either. 140 million? 0 times 50 is 0. So this is what you face in New York. This is what I faced as a mayor. But here is the reason I was successful as the mayor. They didn't own me. Not only that, they opposed me. They didn't just oppose me, well, nowadays it would seem like we were playing kindergarten politics. I mean, but they brought out every nasty story they could about me. They made up stories about me. They threatened me. They did everything they possibly could. But I won, and I won without them, and I won with them as the enemy, and therefore I just governed the city like an honest person would. The New York City owns the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation. That's 17 hospitals. We own them. 25% of the people in New York City hospital beds are in a hospital bed owned and operated by the city of New York. I think it's crazy. Wow. It began 130 years ago because of the of the immigrants, different kind of immigrants who wanted to work. So one of the things the city did for them, because they were contributors, is they built a hospital system that would take care of them for free. So a long time ago, New York City has free medical care in the hospital system. As I said, 17 hospitals. They had become horrible. And they had become a source of Democrat crooked patronage. For example, Harlem Hospital in the Bronx, middle of a black area, had three times more workers than it needed. The people who hired them was not the mayor, not the head of the, Charlie Rangel, the congressman. They were the congressman, the Democratic congressman from New York made a deal with whichever mayor, I don't know. One of the, all the Democratic mayors except Koch were crooked. And so they'd make a deal, and the congressman would say, we don't have much patronage. We got 50 people. You got 5,000. Can't you give up a few? Why don't we take the hospitals, and we'll put our people in the hospitals. Every district has a hospital, just about. So this congressman controlled this place, this congressman. Over a period of years, one example, the hospital that I was born, not in, but 2 blocks from, Kings County Hospital, used to have 1,200 patients in the old days. It then was downsized to 8. When I became mayor, it had 190. It had a staff of 800. I would walk in there and people would be reading the racing sheet. They were taking care of empty beds. We didn't even get rid of the beds. We kept the beds around just in case. Every single one of them was a patronage appointment of a Democrat congressman. Well, what did I care? I fired them all. I fired 8,000. 8,000. Fired them. The congressman never talked to me. They never talked to me anyway. They never did anything for me, but they never did anything anyway. Had they done things for New York wouldn't be in the condition it was in. Or, for example, Charlie Rangel in Harlem. Harlem, nobody would put a business in Harlem when I became mayor, a national business. And not even so much because of the crime, because of the corruption. There's got to be a shakedown. You got to pay Charlie, you got to pay this one, got to pay the mafia. Well, I cleaned up Harlem. And now a lot of national businesses are there. I reduced crime in Harlem by 70%. I reduced murder by 80%. And I brought property values up, poof. And basically they were sold out by all of the black congressmen that represented it, because they didn't care about Harlem. They cared about becoming millionaires. Charlie was worth 27, 30 million. Never had an honest job in his life. He was a congressman. And basically that's the story of these horrible places that these poor people are consigned to, of the inner cities. That's the story of Chicago. That's the story of Baltimore. We put enough money as a country into those places, they could all be, Monaco. I mean, we put a fortune in there. Never got to the people, though. The crooked congressman took it. You put a Republican in who doesn't play ball with them. Unfortunately, a third of our people play ball with them. But if you take the 2/3 that don't, you've got the freedom to just do it like, just do it like Jimmy Stewart would do it in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. You just say, 8,000 people don't have any work, we'll fire them. Or you want welfare? I did this too. You want welfare? You got to work 18 hours a week. For me. If you can't get a job, you come work for me. It's the best thing anybody will ever do for you, because it'll give you the work ethic. And I remember going to a school once with a bunch of kids, because I also required the young people who were going to college for free, the city paying for it, and also were getting welfare. I said, well, you got to work 9 hours a week. And they said, well, that's really unfair, I have to work 9 hours a week. And I said, well, a lot of people work to get themselves through college. I worked when I went to college, so 9 hours isn't that much. And by the way, this is about the only accountable thing you're doing, because the college you go to, they don't even give you grades. Some of them don't even check if you show up. So I have no idea if you're actually getting an education. But what I am giving you is something, I know you're not going to appreciate this, and this is where you go back when you get older to your parents and you say the things they used to say to you, and you used to say, oh, will you stop saying that? Or I said, someday you'll thank me for this. I said, someday you'll thank me for giving you the single most important thing I can give you, because you can only give certain things to people. If I can give you the work ethic, you're going to be okay in life. You may get by, just get by, but you'll get by. You may be successful. You could be tremendously successful, but you have to have the work ethic. If you got that, and I can give you that, there's nothing better I can give you. And now every once in a while, I have somebody coming up to me, and it's the most wonderful thing. It makes it all worth it, thanking me for doing that. They come up to me and say, you know, I remember you're saying that, and it's true. Boy, I complained about it for 3 years, and now I have a nice business. Please, why don't you come into my restaurant? Or I mean, it's just the nicest thing.
Wow. Now, something we all experienced that I think was kind of like your mark of becoming America's mayor was 9/11.
Yeah.
And I was listening to you today, and you were talking about people you knew that were close to you that went into those towers but never came out of those towers alive. How did you handle all of what was happening from, say, an emotional standpoint, yet leading not just New York City at that point, because literally all of America was looking to New York and to you, and I always admired how you led the country, you know, and led us forward through that. What was that like? How did you bear that? And you know, how did you personally endure everything? Because you lost so many people that were in your own life.
Yeah, I knew from the moment I realized it was a terrorist attack that the people in my city would look to me for leadership, and I knew that I'd have to contain my emotions, because some of the people being killed were close friends of mine. We were talking today about Ray Downey. Ray Downey actually has several medals from your governor, Governor Keating, for having led the recovery at Oklahoma City. He was nationally the head of the search and rescue teams, but his permanent job was with the New York City Police Department. He was 65, 66 years old, way beyond retirement. 3 months earlier, I had given him a retirement party at Gracie Mansion at the request of the fire commissioner, his wife, and his son, who was a good friend of mine, to try to ease him out because they wanted him to retire. And I said, but it's going to sound like I'm throwing him out. He's going to feel terrible. He said, no, he loves you. He'll just love having the party. So he promised me he'd retire. And he put his papers in, never signed them. And the fire commissioner to this day has guilt, because he says, even without him signed, I could have just gone through with those papers, signed or unsigned. And I didn't, because I liked having Ray around. On 9/11, I think Ray Downey is the last firefighter at the site that I saw. Now, when your Oklahoma City bombing took place, Ray was sent here to lead the search and rescue team. Governor Keating admired him so much that he set up a big ceremony to give him medals here. Then he came to New York and did it. He came to the party that I gave him, and then he came to his funeral, and to the funeral of the 12 New York City search and rescue people who worked here. Came to each one individually, which was an extraordinary thing to do. So I lost these people that were very, very close to me. My assistant, who from the time I was an assistant U.S. attorney, associate attorney general, mayor, she was married for just 3 years to a firefighter, Captain Hatton, who died on September 11. She found out she was pregnant 10 days later. So these things were happening constantly. Things where if it happened in a normal period of time, you would probably take a break and talk to your wife or talk to your friends or maybe cry. And I would say to myself, no. You gotta stop. You gotta just go on automatic. put it off until later, because people are looking at you. And their reaction is going to be guided a lot by how you react. And if you react in a strong way, and in a way like they can't hurt us and they can't touch us, and we're going to get through this, you're going to help them. And if you react the way you want to react, you're not going to be able to do it. And I remember my father telling me once, a long time ago, if you're ever in a fire, stay calm. Don't get all excited like everybody else, because you can't think straight if you get all excited. Like you'll miss the exits because you'll get so excited. And even if you're not calm, pretend you are, because it'll make you calm. And I believe it or not, I would do that. Like the afternoon of September 11, we had a press conference, and during the press conference, a reporter put up her hand, Marsha Kramer, I remember who it was, and I was standing at the podium, and she said, have you listened to the recordings that came to the to the Solicitor General from his wife who died on the plane that went into the Pentagon? They were slitting people's throats. And I said for a second, wait. This was a call to the who? Solicitor General. I said, you mean Ted Olson? She said, and you mean his wife Barbara? She said, yes. Man, I said, I got to check on that. And I left, and I got behind Governor Pataki. I said, George, would you take over for a minute? Because I started crying. I didn't want people to see it. Barbara Olson and Ted Olson, they were in my office 5 days earlier when she had just done a book, ripping apart Hillary Clinton. And I went to the book party, and I took them to dinner. And Ted and I were bachelors together in Washington. He was the head of the Office of Legal Counsel when I was the Associate Attorney General under Ronald Reagan. And I called Ted. I had to interrupt and call Ted, and we cried on the phone together. But that was personal. The minute it was over, I wasn't going to show him that. And because, gosh, if the mayor breaks down, they're going to think, wow. So I tried every time I would be hit with, Father Judge was my spiritual counselor. We had a very deep and a very close relationship. He was the chaplain of the fire department. He was the first body discovered. And the fire commissioner came in, and here I am thinking, I'm about to ask the fire commissioner, Tom Von Essen, to get me Father Judge, because I need him for advice on language. And he says to me, Father Judge, body is being carried to, forgotten the church, but the firefighters actually have him. And he actually died before he died before the buildings came down. He was hit by some debris that came down, and his body is over the body of a firefighter, and then there's somebody else on top of him. We think he was giving the firefighter last rites, but we're not sure. And they're carrying his body. And when that happened, I'm thinking, wow, I'm alone. I don't have, he was my guy that I went to help me explain death. Every time we'd have a terrible, we lost 3 firefighters on Father's Day that year. And Father Judge helped me and Tom Von Essen get through it, the fire commission. And we said something really, we said, I guess we faced the worst one now. And Tom and I, whenever we see each other, of course, remember that. It wasn't the worst one. It was 373. But then you also focus on the people who are worse than you. So my fire commissioner lost his 10 best friends. He grew up in the fire department. He wasn't just a fire commissioner, political type. He was an actual firefighter. He really knew about fires. Wow. But these were the people he grew up with. These are the people that pulled him out of a fire. These are the people he pulled out of a fire. And all of a sudden, all of them are gone. And as I said, Ray Downey, just when we needed him, this is the biggest search and rescue mission ever, and we lost the best guy and his 5 top people who do it. He had to replace the entire leadership of his department, and Tom just, I asked Tom, how are you doing it? And he was doing it the same way. So we reinforced each other. And he had the greatest sense of humor too. Can I tell a joke? About this? The White House never liked this when Bush was there. They never liked this joke. Bush liked it. They never liked it. So when Bush came to New York, 3 days later, you know, with that great speech, they'll hear from us, whatever. So after it's over, he goes up to me and he goes up to me in Pataggy, and he says, George, you're too big. You got to go in your car. He says, Mayor, you come with me. Come on, you come with me. Put his arm around me. Now, following me like puppies were my 3 commissioners: fire, police, and emergency services. Of course, they also want to see the president because they're still boys, right? So they're on me so before I even get in the car, one of them pushes himself in. They think that because he invited me, they think they were invited. And Bush can hardly get in the car. He says, well, you're all New Yorkers, I know. So we're sitting in the car, we're going up the avenue. First thing that happens is the people are cheering him like crazy. We love you, President Bush. You're terrific. We love you. God bless America, USA. And these people are terrific. So I look at him and I say, Mr. President, I hate to tell you this, but none of them voted for you. This is the craziest, wackiest, most liberal part of New York. And don't feel bad. Very few of them voted for me. They'll be over this in a few days. So that loosened things up a little. So he looks at Tom Von Essen, who he had seen on television and had heard that he lost his best friends, 300 and whatever, we didn't even have the right number then. And he said, Tom, it must have been really terrible. It's got to be terrible for you. How are things going now? Tom said, well, they're going better now. My wife came home last night. And then we started thinking what he meant by that. My wife came home last night, and it was a good night. I punched him in the side. And the president said, well, you're doing better than me. Okay, I never told that story. No, I never did. I kept my mouth shut.
We got...
Tom Von Essen put it in his book. And Karl Rove calls me up and he says, how could he have written that? That's so embarrassing. I said, first of all, Karl, I didn't write it. He did. I could have told that story 3 years ago. I didn't. And he's a firefighter. That's, they're tough guys. What do you want me to do? You want me to shoot him? No. I see the president next. Time I see the president, I understand Karl called you to complain. He said, we thought it was funny as hell. You tell Tom not to worry. We thought it was the funniest thing.
Now, speaking of presidents, let's bring it to today.
Oh. Really? Really? Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to try to be careful.
So, you said something earlier today that I thought was interesting. You have all these people that are experts in politics that have actually never met Donald Trump or Joe Biden. And you made the statement, you know them both personally.
I do.
And
a long time.
So this isn't an opinion from something you see on television.
100%.
Not an opinion that you've formulated from social media. You have known these two for quite a while.
Yeah, I've known Biden, I remember 1981, and I've known Trump since about 1985. Well,
so for quite a while.
I knew him even before that because he was a New Yorker, but I really got friendly with him because we had a mutual friend, George Steinbrenner, and I am an out-of-control, crazy, nutty Yankee fan, occasionally known as New York's #1 Yankee fan. I became very friendly with George, and George was very close to Donald Trump, and Donald's a big Yankee fan, and that's how we really became close.
Okay.
And then we became close because he really turned on Mayor Koch when all the corruption happened in the city. And Donald Trump, although kind of a Democrat then, he wasn't really a Democrat or a Republican. He supported who he thought was best. he was one of my first and early supporters.
Okay.
He was the first really rich person who supported me. When I ran in '89 and lost, when I ran in '93 and won, when I ran in '97, and when I ran for president. I belong to his golf club. My son is an excellent golfer. He and my son developed a relationship. They play golf all the time. When I went through a divorce, there were a lot of difficult times with my children. And this is on a personal basis. He helped keep my son close to me by talking to him and telling him I'm not what my ex-wife said I was. I credit him with keeping that relationship close. Didn't have to do that. He's a good man. He would contribute money anonymously, like Steinbrenner did. And he learned that from George. George had this Christian idea that if you get, and Trump used to fight it a little, but he'd go along with it. If you get credit for it now, on earth, you're not going to get credit in heaven. So Steinbrenner wouldn't explain. Every cop that died, he'd put in those days, it was a lot, he put in $10,000 right away. Then $100,000 eventually. He just put it in, don't tell anybody. Now, since he died, they made it into a foundation. And it's a big foundation. And then he would get Trump to contribute with him. And he would tell Donald, well, if you get credit now, you're not going to get credit later. And I tried to get both of them, like on September 11, I got them to go public, because I said other people will imitate you. Because in New York, that's how they raise money. One guy gets up and says 10,000. The other one says 20,000. What are you, cheap? 30,000. What are you, cheap? I'm richer than you are. 50,000. I'm richer. I said, let's get that started. You got to do that for me. God will be okay with it, I think. But I can't tell you how many. It would almost be the police officers and firefighters absolutely always contributed. Never asked, just sent the money in. But every once in a while he'd pick out a cause, like he'd call up my office, and he was close with every. He was one of the few people, like he's one of the 5 top real estate people in the city. That makes him very important, right? He could get me on the phone if he wanted to, anytime, the mayor. They did. He'd call any of all my assistants, love him. He would call them. He didn't care. Oh, yeah, the mayor's busy. I know the mayor's really, I need this, I need that. Or get me the address of this person. I just read that they were beaten up and I want to send them something. But don't tell the mayor. Because the mayor likes to give me credit. And I used to like doing that because it would encourage other people to do it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how often he did that. He's just a good man. Has quirks, peculiarities. And I'll tell you the other thing about him is love of country, absolutely sincere. It's deep, it's abiding, it's almost obsessional in a good way. He loves this country. And for the longest time, he thought we had terrible leadership. And he tends to be a perfectionist and very critical. Sometimes I think he requires more than people can give, but that's good. And it breaks my heart in a way to see him ripped apart like this. So I'll tell you what did it. What did it was when they did the Russian collusion thing on him. I was in law practice and I was out of government, and all of a sudden they accused him of Russian collusion. I knew it was absolutely untrue, because for the last 6 months of the campaign, until the last 2 weeks really, I was with him virtually every waking hour. Because my job was to be with him and to talk things out with him and to stop him from tweeting. I did a great job.
So you didn't succeed in that one.
I could tell you some that he didn't do, but I better not. But so I knew everything he did. And he's a very open man. I mean, particularly then, he hadn't been president yet. He'd be on that phone in the middle of the airplane. He'd work right in the middle of the airplane. And if he were dealing with the Russians, he'd say, okay, Boris, we got a deal. Boom, he'd hang up. And then he'd tell you. Because he had no idea. First of all, he didn't know when I first explained it to him that this was a crime to get dirty information. He said politicians get it all the time. Well, the theory is if you get it from a foreigner, it's a campaign contribution. And therefore, it's a violation of federal law. which, by the way, is disputed. In other words, half the scholars think it is a crime, half think it isn't, and so they were pursuing him for something that is really not universally even acknowledged as a crime. But he didn't do it. He had nothing to do with the Russians. And when he first heard about it, he said, because he thought it was stupid and it was going to go right away, he said, this is crazy. If Melania even thought I'd talk to the Russians, she'd kill me. She hates the Russians. Her country used to be controlled by the Soviet Union. You never met anybody that hates Russians more than she does. She said, I don't let Melania find out. If Melania finds out, I'm dead. So I knew it was untrue, but I didn't realize until I started how evil it was, how contrived. Yeah. I thought maybe he talked to some Russian and they misunderstood it, or I didn't realize Hillary Clinton paid $1.1 million to create that false story. Yeah. Now that is the immensity of that is unbelievable. There's nothing that Trump is charged with, none of which I think are crimes anyway, that amounts to anything like that. I mean, it's like crazy. So she pays $1.1 million to create this story. It doesn't work to stop him from being president. Then they try to use it to unseat a lawfully elected president. Why they don't go to jail, I don't know. I mean, to me, you want to talk about insurrection? That's an insurrection. I pay somebody to make up a false story about the president to take him out of office. And then a whole bunch of congressmen, the former president, the former vice president, all join in, all those ridiculous intelligence people, and nothing happens to them. So they've been after him from day one. And then of course it took a while not only to find this out, and then as I said to some of you I was talking to before, if you told me most of these things 7 years ago, or I told you, I would think either one of us was crazy. This can't happen in America.
Yeah.
They can't. Judges can't do this. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't cheat to that level in an election. Somebody wouldn't pay $1.1 million to frame a president and get away with it. Now, once I realized what they were doing to him, I volunteered to represent him. That's the day they went and got my account. That's the day they started investigating me. At some point along the way, I get a knock on my door at 5 in the morning. It's the FBI. I used to kind of run the FBI. The former FBI agents are some of my best friends. I mean, we went through hell together. I love the FBI. They were very nice. I mean, they were all a bunch of kids, and they did treat me not. They didn't do what they do to the poor J6 people, or how about the people that are getting arrested now for protesting abortion, and they sent stormtroopers to arrest them.
Yeah.
What are these people going to do? Shoot them? I mean, I don't know what's happened to the FBI. I really don't. I mean, we usually, I never remember having stormtroopers in the FBI. And I arrested terrorists, Nazis, mass murderers, and mafia people. I never remember a guy in an arrest going in with machine guns. Right? I mean, they're FBI agents. But they show up in my house. They didn't have any of those people. They had about 8 guys and 2 women. They searched my whole apartment. They had a search warrant for all my electronics, meaning cell phones. So I have a lot of electronics in my apartment because at this point I was doing my podcast there. I was doing about a third of the time I do my radio show at home, going to the studio the other 2/3 of the time. So I had a lot of that electronic equipment also. And then I have a lot of friends that come over and record there because I have access to Ethernet, and so they were taking like computers that belonged to a friend of mine, a big giant old computer that belonged to my ex-wife that she must have forgotten to clean out. I was wondering what the heck's on that, and so they finished the search. They line up everything on my dining room table. Oh, they got I think about 18 or 19 pieces. So I said, I can help you identify them, but just make it easier for you. So I say, well, this belongs to me. This belongs to my law partner. This belongs to so-and-so. This is mine. This belongs to my ex-wife. This, we go. We get down to the very end, because I kind of moved them around, because I wanted to just, I said, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the only incriminating evidence you're going to find when you go through all this. They said, what is that? I said, well, I don't know. You can take either or both. The first one is Hunter Biden's hard drive. And it is edited because we didn't want people that shouldn't see the child pornography. And the second one has the child pornography, which your bureau has had for 2 years and done nothing with. Aren't you ashamed of that? And they said, oh, we don't want it. Now, actually, they violated the search warrant. The search warrant said all electronics. Now, I had another copy in a safe, so I didn't really care if they took it, but they wouldn't take it. Wow. They wouldn't take the Hunter Biden hard drive. There's some kind of thing of the FBI protecting Biden. I still haven't gotten to the bottom of it. I still don't know for sure what it is, but they've been doing it for a long time. Now, Biden, first time I met him, my chief of staff, when I was Associate Attorney General, went to law school with him. And he said to me one day, remember this was yesterday, I've told this story so many times, way before this all happened. He said to me, you should run, you know, if you ever run for office, Rudy, you should run in New York. You should move to someplace like Delaware. It costs nothing. You don't have to raise millions, and you can get elected no matter how stupid you are. I said, well, why do you say that? He said, well, this jackass who was in my law school class, Biden won. He was the dumbest guy in the class. He almost got thrown out of law school 2 or 3 times for failing. He's now the #2 guy on the Judiciary Committee. He's the nicest guy in the world. Everybody in law school loved him. You just didn't want to sit next to him near exams because you'd get in trouble. So he'd be going like this. He said, but you're going to love him. He's a great guy, a very regular guy. And, you know, he's sort of bipartisan. He gets along with Republicans. And it wasn't that big a barrier then. I mean, it is true that some of my best friends were Democrats then. And we'd have arguments, and we'd enjoy them. I mean, we'd enjoy getting together and fighting with each other. Yeah, I mean it. And it was useful. Sometimes he would convince me of something, or she would, or vice versa. Not too often, but. So I go over, I meet him. I work with him on appointing 94 U.S. attorneys, 94 U.S. marshals, maybe 30 or 40 judges over the years. I worked with him on the 1994 crime bill, with him and Schumer. Now, that bill was authored by my Justice Department way back in 1983 when I helped to write it. So they knew that, and they needed me, and Clinton wanted it passed. And it's the one that they say people went to jail forever. But what it did do was it reestablished the death penalty, since taken away. It reestablished much stronger penalties for a lot of crimes. Was it misused with small drug crimes? Yeah, probably, by a lot of people. And they could easily have fixed that without touching the whole thing. And Biden was the lead in the Senate, and Schumer was the lead in the House. And I worked with them to get it passed because it was under Clinton, and he needed Republican support. I supported it. The mayor of Los Angeles supported it. A number of Republicans supported it, and it finally passed. And it was a great accomplishment. It helped me reduce crime. It got me gosh almighty, about 10,000 more people for my police department that I was able to use both as cops and for other important things. And it did help. It's one of the things that helped the country do what we did in New York, because the country had a big reduction in crime in the 1990s, going into the 2000s. And of course, now they disavow it. Yeah. They all disavow. Well, he disavows everything. So, and one other thing, his niece worked in one of my mayor's offices for one of my assistants for 4 years. Very, very smart girl, very good. So I had a good relationship with him. I called him, talked to him on the phone. Always thought he was like the dumbest person I knew. Didn't think he was such a nice guy after Bork. Started to see the other side of him, and kind of saw him as a puppet politician. You know, put in front of him the latest talking points of the Democrat Party, and he'll say it. Like he was a big opponent of Reagan's nuclear defense, of Star Wars. Made fun of it. Never understood it. He never understood it, but he's working with an IQ that would not make it possible for him to understand. I used to explain to dumb Democrats who opposed it. I don't think I even tried with him because I knew this would be too complicated for him. I used to say to them, I don't understand why you don't get Star Wars. If a missile can shoot down a jet, right? You got that, right? Missile can shoot down a jet. Why can't a missile shoot down another missile if it's faster, smarter, better? Well, of course they can. I said, well, that's Star Wars, pal. That's Iron Dome. You see all those people alive in Israel that because 95% of the missiles are turned back? I mean, the Palestinians kill more of themselves than they do Israelis when they shoot off missiles because they backfire. And Ronald Reagan saved all those lives.
Yeah.
And the Democrats viciously opposed it. Viciously opposed it for no other reason than, so it didn't just start with Donald. They opposed it because Ronald Reagan was in favor of it. It's perfectly logical. It makes complete common sense. It's not conservative or liberal. It's just common sense, right? But they opposed it because it would help Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, which is the battle that we're in right now.
Oh.
And do we want to do some live Q&A tonight? Do you think that would be kind of fun? We're going to get there. But before we do some live Q&A, because I know we have questions, Clay, would you come join me on stage real quickly? I want to let you in on a little secret. When you do events, there are speakers, and they have speaking fees and all those type of things, and those are great and wonderful. But I want you to know something. Mayor Giuliani is here, and he didn't charge me a penny to come speak at our church tonight. And I know he needs some pennies in his life. In fact, could we say some dollars?
Yeah.
And so I want to do something tonight because I believe that we have an American hero here in Tulsa, Oklahoma with us. And I know that Mayor Giuliani is in the legal fight. Now, you've been a fighter your entire time, and they haven't taken you down, and they're not going to take you down either. But sometimes people in a fight need other people to help them in the fight. And so tonight I want to do something before we go to live Q&A. Mayor Giuliani, we want to bless you tonight for coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we're going to, and I'm going to ask you to help us. And here's what we're going to do. Clay, you're going to kind of help me with this. If the band wants to come out, see, we're about to make this really fun, I promise. All right, if the band wants to come out, we're going to have a little music. And Clay, they're going to get you a mic.
By band, I'm going to be playing the woodblock. Jackson's doing an interpretive dance until you get money. We won't stop until we'll get the cowbell.
We're gonna do this like old school style, where we're gonna lock the doors and nobody's getting out of here until we get a certain amount. And so here's what I want to do. All right, I know that the mayor needs help. That's just the reality of it. And so we've got some events that are coming up here soon. We've got General Flynn coming. We've got Tim Tebow coming. And so tonight, if you will give anything.
Anything at all.
$1, $10, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. We could just keep going, right? Anything. It doesn't matter the amount. We're going to put you in a drawing tonight to win 2 VIP tickets to meet with General Flynn and get a signed baseball bat from General Flynn. And we're going to put you into a drawing tonight to have 2 VIP tickets to meet with Tim Tebow and get a signed football from Tim Tebow. And what else are we giving away
We're going to
tonight?
give away 2 backstage passes to the final confirmed Reawaken America tour. So you can meet Laura Trump, you can meet Eric Trump, you can meet Kash Patel, basically Trump's entire inner circle there. You can meet them in Detroit, Michigan.
Mayor Giuliani's going to be with us.
Mayor Giuliani's going to be there now, so he'll be there.
So here's how we're going to do it. Here's how the drawing will take place. You're at a church. I'm a pastor. There's offering envelopes in your seats. Here's what I need you to do. You can give by check. You can make your checks out to Sheridan Church. We're going to lump all this together, and we're going to send Mayor Giuliani with a nice check back to New York City. So you can give by check. You can just write it out to Sheridan Church. But the offering envelopes are important because we're going to do a drawing tonight, all right? If you do cash, just put it in the offering envelope and put your name in there because we're going to do a drawing. But let's say you didn't bring a checkbook. You didn't bring any cash with you. That's okay. We have other ways that you can give tonight. You can text to give. We've got a number, 918-992-4349. You text that number, and you can text any amount. You can text $1, $2. Actually, could you do at least $3? Because we get charged on the. So if you're texting to give, I need at least $3. Okay. You can go to the church website, Sheridan.church. You can give on there as well. Listen. Whatever you feel led tonight to give, every penny of it, 100%, is going to go directly to Mayor Giuliani because he's in a fight right now. And I think it's important that we use our time, our talents, and our treasure to come alongside the mayor and to support him. So as you're filling those out, Clay, what else do we got going on?
Well, I think Rudy has
something.
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
I want to explain one thing to you about this. I'll tell you what I'm facing so you know what you're doing. First, I was sued by the 2 women who were counting multiple ballots in Georgia. We have one of them on tape doing it. And I'm sued because I offered an opinion that they were doing it on radio and television. So I'm sued for defamation. And I also pointed out that anybody could see it on tape that wanted to. And I had a trial before the judge in the District of Columbia, who was the chief judge, who was upset that the sentences of the January 6 people were too low, and told all the judges to raise them. So you can understand what a complete nut job she is. So just make it short, she told me if I testified and told my lying story, basically, I'd be held in contempt, meaning she put me in jail. So I couldn't testify to defend myself. She got rid of about half my witnesses. And then the judgment was $145 million for these women who I wasn't allowed to put in evidence the tape that shows them doing what I said they did. A tape, by the way, which in my Bar Association proceeding, they doctored to take that out. And the judge there did nothing about it. So the Bar Association is going to disbar me because I lied about them, but they don't have the evidence that I can show you tonight of them counting the ballots 4 times. 1, 2, 1, 2, 4 times, 4 times, 4 times. I can call the expert that will say that in a very, very short period of time, Biden, who was losing by 2.5%, went ahead by 0.25%, and it was something like 140,000 votes for Biden and 300 votes for Trump. Like totally impossible. They were all phony pieces of paper that they never let us examine. So $145 million, that made me bankrupt. I'm not worth $145 million. And they wanted to take my, I have 2 homes, they wanted to take them both away. So I had to go into bankruptcy to protect my houses. I'm also under indictment by Fani.
She's a quality person, right?
Fani, who likes to call herself Fani, who has committed more crimes than Trump and I could even think about. So I'm indicted with him, myself, Mark Meadows, poor Professor Eastland, and about 14 people I don't even know. I'm supposed to be in a conspiracy with them. I don't know them. And the conspiracy is I defended Donald Trump. And she wants to put me in jail for 20 years. I'll be 80 years old in May. In other words, she wants to put me and Trump in jail for the rest of our lives. Now, if it's with him, it might not be bad. I mean, you know. And I have to tell you, we'll get a warm reception by the criminals, because when I went to be fingerprinted and photographed, they made it as humiliating as possible for all of us, but in particular for him. So I went the day before he did, not on purpose, but it turned out good. I can tell him about it. So I went, and I've done 5,000 of these. You do them in an office. You don't embarrass people. You don't even embarrass terrible criminals. They decided to do it in a jail where we had to walk past 2 big rows of criminals before we got to the place where we were going to be fingerprinted, photographed, etc., including the ex-president of the United States. Well, they got a real great show because the criminals applauded for us. I got a standing ovation from the 2. And I cannot tell you what they were saying about Fani. But I didn't know that whole stuff about her then. Turns out to all be true. And so I have to fight that. Dominion is suing me for $2 billion. But they've already collected 3 times the worth of their company, so I don't. Then I'm being sued by another company. I'm being sued by that crazy Coomer who
Well, you and I share that same relationship.
Crazy
It's a
Coomer.
good bonding thing. That's how we connect.
And so I have to fund all those. But I have one lawsuit that I'll use some of this money on. I'm suing Biden.
Hey!
Joe Biden. I'm suing New Hampshire because New Hampshire has the best defamation laws from the point of view of the plaintiff of anywhere in the country. I can collect in New Hampshire for any other place I was defamed, in other words, for all 50 states. It has the longest statute of limitations, so I was able to get it in. And you know what the defamation is? The defamation is during the last debate between him and Trump. He said that the hard drive was Russian disinformation, and 71 intelligence people signed a letter saying that, and it was procured by your friend Giuliani, who's a Russian pawn. Well, they have now determined conclusively, including the FBI, that it had nothing to do with Russia. It came from John Mac Isaacs. So that's a complete defamation that he knew was untrue when he said it. So, I mean, it's going to take a while, and I don't think the people in New Hampshire like him very much. So it's not going to be like a DC jury, which is... So that we'll use it for that case, too, to see if we can't nail him at some point and get some of the money back from the biggest crook that ever sat in the White House.
Now, Pastor Jackson, if we can have our tech team pull this up real quick. There's a website real quick I want to show you real quick just to kind of build your faith that we actually know what we're doing here. If you go to givesendgo.com/Navarro, you can pull that up real quick. Peter Navarro is a great friend of mine. Many of you know him. This was Trump's chief economic advisor. Givesendgo.com/Navarro.
On December 20th. Pulling that up.
Yeah.
While they're pulling that up.
Yeah.
Mayor, are you good if I share the number of the legal battle you're facing?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So just so you know, the number that he's facing is about $1.5 million, okay? So that's why every dollar that we do here tonight, guess what it's going to do? It's going to help fund this battle. And Clay, you've already
Well, I'll tell you this.
done
On December 23rd, Peter Navarro called me. It's the eve of Christmas Eve, and he said, hey, I need to raise about $1 million, specifically $1.25 million. If you can do that'd be great. And as of today, we hit $1.337 million that was donated. And if you look at the donations there, he's in prison right now because he wouldn't betray President Trump. He won't turn over his phone records, his emails. And look at this, though, 1.334 right there, 1.34. And we had 23,000 110 people that donated. So people are donating an average of $25, $30. So what we're going to do right now, if you're watching online, I want you to go to givesendgo.com/Rudy. For everybody who's not part of the church body, we have thousands of people watching online right now. Go to givesendgo.com/Rudy. And if you donate there, you just want to text me proof of donation for a chance to win a backstage pass to the Reawaken America tour in Detroit, Michigan. What we're going to do is Masood, I'm going to have you stand up real quick. This is Masood, probably one of the most intense Republicans I've ever met. They love this guy. Okay, Masood and Dr. Zell, can you stand up real quick, sir? Okay, and then, now what we're gonna do is, Masood, you're watching these people over here, okay? So I want you to kind of face the audience. Z, if you can watch these people here, and we're not gonna stop jamming out until everybody's donated something. So Z, everybody kind of make eye contact.
Hey, let's put some buckets up here. Come on, let's have some
Z's
fun.
watching, Masood's watching. We want everybody to get, we've locked the doors.
Come on forward.
You can't leave until everybody's donated something. Okay, come on now. Don't be lying to Dr. Z. You're out of church, folks. Come on, don't be lying to Masood. Okay, come on, everybody, come on down. We got to do it. Everybody, come on down. And if you're not donating, reach into the pocket of the person next to you.
You should use them
and
on a
thank
Sunday.
them for donating. Make sure they're of the same sex, otherwise it gets kind of weird there, folks. Hit up somebody for money if you need to. We want everyone to donate something. If you donated online, just kind of wave at Dr. Z and Masood here. Don't make it awkward. And if you're online, wave at us and then text me my cell phone number, 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102. And if you donate anything at all, you have a chance to win 2 backstage passes to meet Tim Tebow. You get a signed football. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can meet Eric Trump, Kash Patel, General Flynn, and Michigan, Rudy Giuliani. Also, folks, we're doing a giveaway here for 2 backstage passes to meet General Flynn right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. So if you're out there today, I want everyone to donate something. Everybody out there, something. And if you can't donate something, maybe just leave your watch, leave your wallet, leave your car. We'll sell it. Whatever you got to do. We will sell it. Just leave your car keys. We'll sell it. We're shameless. We're going to support America's mayor. It's going to happen. We're going to raise the $1.5 million. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. $5 at a time, $10 at a time.
I think my side's getting more than Masood.
Dr. Zellner has a live update, sir. I'm passing the mic real quick here.
I'm very proud of my side so far. I think we've outdone Masood by quite a bit. So,
All right.
this side over here, give me a yell!
Okay, team, this is the Zellner side. Zellner side, how many of you think you're in the lead? Zellner side. We're passing the mic over to the Masood here. Masood, your team might need a pep talk here, Masood. Here we go.
We are doing it just for the hero of United States of Julie, the man who put his life on the line for us, for United States, the greatest nation in this planet of Earth. Would you all say together, USA, 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 USA,
USA.
Now, Dr. Zellner, he used the dirty move. He started chanting USA, sir. I'll give you a chance to rebut him. I think your team is more patriotic. Here we go.
I mean, we're just givers. We're humble. We love our country.
Hey.
Trump.
You should do this every Sunday.
Trump. Rudy. We love you. We love what you've done for this country. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Folks, one more time. Let's hear for America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Everybody, let's hear it for him. Come on, Tulsa, Jerusalem. Let's hear it one more time for America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. All right, we're going to give away a winner here. Now, what we're going to do is if you're online and you donated, I need you to text me right now that you donated if you're online, so we declare the online winner. We have 2 winners who are here present, and then online winners, you need to text my cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102, and to be bilingually sensitive, that's 918-851-0102. James, I'm going to have you pick a winner from the online community here. I'm going to pass the phone to you, and then Pastor Jackson, we're going to be picking the winner from the church body here. So here we go. Again, if you donated online, text my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. Here we go. Action Jackson, are you ready, sir?
So are we going in one of the buckets
Let's
first?
go bucket first. We're going bucket.
Let's go. Mayor, would you like to pick
Oh,
one out of
wow.
the,
Here we
pick
go.
one
The
out of
mayor's going to
bucket?
pick a winner. Here we go.
Get in there, figure out which
Oh, yeah. Here we go. There we go.
All right, we got one.
Now this is the winner of the Tim Tebow backstage pass. You can be Tim Tebow, get a signed football. It's for you and another 2 tickets.
All right. Matt Cowan. Where is Matt?
Matt,
Cowan?
is that you? Matt, come on down. Let's have you come on down and meet America's mayor. Come on down, sir. Great job, Matt.
We got one winner. Matt, you want to come shake the mayor's hand?
Matt, come on down. Let's hear it from Matt, everybody. Great job, Matt. Thank you for supporting America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Matt.
All right,
Nice
now
to
this
meet you.
will
Thank
be
you, Matt.
for
Thank
the
you very
online,
much.
General Michael Flynn.
This will be the General Michael
You're
Flynn
gonna get
backstage.
VIP.
Let's go from that one now.
Which we want to go right here?
Yeah, we'll go
All
the
right,
other
Mayor,
Bucket
get
number
in
2. Here we go. Bucket number 2 coming in hot.
Here we go. All
Real
right.
quick, before you announce the winner, can we have the band do a drum roll? Get a little drum roll, Are you ready? Folks, a little drum roll. Joy to the world.
We got Heather Hobbs. All right, where is Heather? Yay, there's Heather Hobbs.
Great job, Heather. Come on down
All
here.
right.
Come on down here. Meet America's mayor. Yes, let's hear it for Heather. Heather Hobbs. Coming on down. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. And we have an online donation. James, do you have one? You have one?
James has got one,
Thank you
and then
very
we're gonna give another
There you go.
VIP pass to General Flynn on May the 20th.
Another
one more.
VIP
All right,
pass.
Here we go.
Okay, here
I'm
we go.
going to the online group. Those
Online
of you
group.
that gave online. Here's what we'll go with for those who gave online. Let's go with Mayor. You wanna just scroll and pick a name?
Just kind of scroll right there.
Right
If you're
there.
watching online, Richard Roberts style, put your hands on the screen. Maybe that'll help. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
Susan
It's
Weldon.
there we go.
Where's Susan Weldon? Right there. Come on, you just won.
Yeah.
Come on
Hey,
up
Susan,
here.
come on down. Yes, Susan.
All right.
All right.
Now we got one more. And
James, do you have a text in? Okay. James has it. Come on up here, James, real quick here. And then pass the phone to Pastor Jackson. He can announce the winner here. Let's hear it. This is an online donor again.
All right. Here we go.
What a beautiful cross that is.
What do you got there?
So the winner this is going to Detroit, right?
Detroit Reawaken America Tour featuring General Flynn, Eric Trump, Laura Trump, Cash Patel, Jim Brewer, Roseanne, what?
Roseanne's going to be there?
Roseanne, yeah, you're going to have Rudy Giuliani in the house. It's going to be a
Roseanne will be
blasty
there.
blast in Detroit. Here we go.
Mary DeHaan.
Mary DeHaan.
Hey!
Mary, hey!
Come on down!
Ow! Folks, give yourselves a round of applause one more time. Yes. And now, one more time, let's hear for America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
All right, we're gonna take some questions.
Now, real quick, rules for the questions.
Rules for
questions. Real quick rules on band. We're gonna kind of pull it down. We're very serious here. This is a time for questions, not statements.
Yes.
So there's kind of statement questions where, like, where you go into like a big pontification and there's no question there.
We got a
That's
mic
not what we're
right
doing.
over here.
Just
so
questions,
come
rapid fire.
on. We can form a line right over. Oh, and there's a mic right here. So yeah,
We're gonna try to do 10 questions, okay? 10 questions.
So
let's
here's
go rapid fire.
how it goes. I'm gonna be the bad guy and the moderator. So like, if you get up and you start giving a political speech, I gotta cut you off.
1, 2, 3.
I have to do it.
Depends on
and
the
so,
speech.
and I don't
Testing,
want to
1,
have
2.
to do that, but I will do that. All right. So we're gonna ask some questions. Just try to make them brief, and that way we can just do some
And Mayor-
rapid fire. All right.
And Mayor, you can go as long as you want, but theoretically, you get 1 minute to answer.
Okay.
We're going rapid fire, okay? Here we go. Let's
Rapid
go.
fire questions.
Okay. We ready?
Yes.
Is it working? No.
Let me see. I don't think it's working.
Here we go. I got you.
Okay, I got one here. First of all, Rudy, I've seen you a couple of times. This is your best performance here. I just want to say that. I've seen you a few times. It's really about your story instead of maybe some others. That's why I enjoyed it. I got a question. I love Trump. I got one thing I've heard bad about him is he took advantage of his contractors. You were talking about Trump. I'd like to know about that, because it's a.
I have no
Okay.
indication. I wasn't into his business. I wasn't his lawyer in his
Okay.
business. I have no indication that he took advantage of his contractors. Everybody in New York, up until he ran, loved him.
Okay, well, there was.
Including the people that did business with him. He did business with the same people all the time. Did he have disputes with his contractors? He wouldn't business if he didn't. I mean,
I just wanted to know that.
Yeah.
That's the only bad thing I've ever heard about him. I love the guy. Thank you.
I would consider Donald Trump to be a very, very tough negotiator, but a very honorable, the kind of guy you want to negotiate with. You know, a tough negotiator that's going to drive you crazy, but once you make the deal, boy, he sticks to the deal.
All right, let's go right over here.
No better person to answer what I'm going to ask. I was born and raised in a communist country. That's my second language. When does the Second Amendment actually take place?
When did it take place?
Yep, because
after.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah, it took place right after the ratification of the Constitution, within 2 years. Because we put the Constitution together, there were a certain number of members, like James Madison and Hamilton, and kind of like both sides, the Federalist side and the Jeffersonian side, that felt there weren't enough guarantees for personal freedom. So they wanted to put in guarantees for personal freedom. And there are a lot of reasons why they might have put it off. Maybe they were getting tired. And they decided, we'll get the Constitution done first, and then we will immediately put out 10 amendments to the Constitution together as a Bill of Rights. So that was out within 2 years. So 1788, around then. And why do we have a Second Amendment? We have a Second Amendment to defend ourselves. It's not there to go hunting. I mean, it's not there. It's there because our founding fathers, founding framers, whatever, were very aware of the fact that a democracy can be just as tyrannical as anything else if the wrong people take over. I mean, Stalin was elected, Hitler was elected. Most of those dictators in South America are elected. And so democracy, if you have a tyranny of the majority, can take away all your rights. So they built into it certain rights. Their belief, the rights came from God. That these rights are above governments. That the right of free speech, for example, is a right that we have because we're children of God. Now, people that don't believe in God, but also would say it comes from natural law. It's beyond just the government's not giving you this right. You have this right as a human being. You have the right of free speech. You have the right of freedom of religion. Pastor, what you did in keeping the church open was so unusual and so brave. I gotta tell you, I don't know if you realize, that was the first moment I started to see that this whole pandemic thing was really going to be used by the socialists and the communists in our government to take over. Yes. When they said you can't go to church on Easter. What do you mean you can't go to church? Just a pandemic where everybody's going to, this is when we need God. After September 11, this country became so religious. It was wonderful. And after this, we become an atheist country. They keep open strip joints, but not churches. So all those rights are natural rights that come from God, that belong to you, and the government cannot take them away from you.
It's good. It's good. It's good. I'll go right over here.
Mr. Mayor, I watched President Biden on TV this morning. He was with the Japanese Prime Minister. And he stated that inflation was on the rise before he came into office, which is a complete lie. And he came into office, it was 1.4% under Trump, and it then went up to 9%, and now it's down to 3.5 year over year, which if you're 3.5 over 9, which means you're still way up. So how are we supposed to combat this misinformation? And no one ever challenges a guy in a free press.
Well, that was the beginning of my radio show today at 3 o'clock on WABC Radio, which is national. I said, let's deal with Trump's two lies. let's deal with Biden's two lies for today. One is that inflation started before him, and we went through that. And then the second lie is that he never guaranteed Netanyahu that Netanyahu could destroy and get rid of Hamas, which he's now backed off. I saw him on television 10 times saying, we're with Netanyahu, we're going to destroy Hamas. He's absolutely right to destroy Hamas because they want to destroy Israel. Now, he's on the side of Iran. And he wants Netanyahu to pull out. He doesn't want him to destroy Hamas. If we keep Hamas, I mean, here's the thing that They want to kill us too. Those people in Dearborn, Michigan, were yelling death to Israel. The next thing they said, or maybe the first thing they said, was death to America. And they were having a commemoration of the Quds Force. You know what the Quds Force is? The Quds Force are special, like the SS were to Hitler. That's what they are to the Ayatollah. They're his dedicated murderers. And about a third of the people they murdered during the Iraq War are our sons and daughters, Americans. And this guy hasn't even condemned it. This is like Charlottesville times a million. And the press isn't even going after him. And he is screwing Israel and the United States so he can get the vote in Dearborn, Michigan. And they're having a ceremony for the Quds Force that killed Americans. There's something really wrong with this.
Yeah.
Evil. It's called evil.
Let's go right over here.
Mr. Mayor, you're speaking about your situation and how they didn't allow the courts. What we turn to as Americans, the courts wouldn't allow information to be presented. The judge, what do we do to reclaim a judicial that is honest and transparent and not biased?
Appointments. I took over New York City, and one of the major problems in New York City, which they have again now, is the judges will let all the criminals go free. We called it turnstile justice. It was so ridiculous in the drug neighborhoods that an arrest for drugs of a drug dealer was a mere eruption of his business. They would try to bribe police officers to shorten the amount of time so they could get back into business and make money right away. So they'd be back in 3 hours, they'd be back in 5 hours, right on the street selling drugs again. How did I change that? I changed it because I got to appoint the criminal court judges. I appointed 100 of them. I interviewed every single one myself. I went through a half hour or 45 minutes of making sure that they would put people, victims, ahead of the criminal. And some of them could have double-crossed me, but none of them ever did. Every time after that, there'd be a judge who let a criminal go free who shouldn't. I would ask my chief assistant, was it one of mine? Like, no. Thank God. But that's what Trump can do. He can appoint judges, and a lot of them who are strict constructionists. All we want them to do, damn it, is follow the law. That's all we want them to do. And I think judges follow politics too. If Trump gets elected, you're going to see a lot of them change I already see the DC judges who are like monsters in dealing with the J6 people. They've already letting some of them out of jail. They're letting some of them out because I think they believe the obstruction count that was used is going to be declared unconstitutional or improperly applied. I think the court is definitely going to do that, which means if they gave them extra time for that, and they start doing that time already, even if it gets declared illegal, the person will have done time. Some of those judges are now cutting the sentences off, suspending them, and saying, you're out of jail. If the Supreme Court upholds, you go back, but if not, you don't. 3 months ago, they wouldn't have done that. Yeah. The idea that Trump might win is starting to scare them. Judges are not the independent creatures you think they are.
That's good. Let's go right over here. Rapid fire.
Mayor Giuliani, I recently, the past several years, growing up, there was a thing called attorney-client privilege, okay? I don't understand. Can you help me understand, is this no longer real?
Yeah.
Is it illegal? Because attorneys like you, your stuff's being hauled away. Can you just elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I saw this in defending Trump even before they did it to me. I mean, they were raiding lawyers who represented Trump, and the complete, absolute violations of attorney-client privilege. The attorney privilege comes from the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution. It's a personal right, like we were talking about, from God, not from these idiots. And they have destroyed it, but only with regard to Trump. I mean, if you did it to somebody else, they go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, about 10 of his lawyers have had their offices searched. And just the mere fact that they started, they're surveilling my iCloud account the day that I begin representing him is a clear indication they want to spy. That they're not interested in what camera I buy. I mean, they're interested in my communications with him.
Yeah.
And this is completely illegal, and that's why that guy Christopher Wray shouldn't be there. I mean, he should be in jail.
Yeah, no, it's good. Now, I'd like to do something tonight that I think is going to be the most special thing that we're going to do. I think we all recognize the fight that Mayor Giuliani is in, the fight that President Trump is in, the fight that our nation is in. And we can talk about it, and we can complain about it, and we can strategize about it, but I think one of the most important things that we can do is about it. And I'd like to invite you to do something with me, and that's to stand to your feet, and I'd like to pray for Mayor Giuliani. And I think this is significant, and I think this is very special. And Mayor, I want you to know that it seems like, everything's coming at you, but there's a lot of people, as you can see right here, and everybody who's watching online that support you and are so grateful for
I'm so grateful.
your courage and your fight. And so would you all do me a favor? Would you just stretch your hands towards Mayor Giuliani, and let's pray over him as he heads back into the fight. Father, we thank you for Mayor Giuliani, and God, we thank you for all that you have brought him through. And that, Lord, we can assuredly say you have raised him up for such a time as this. And that the battles that he has fought in the past have only prepared him for the battle that he is in today and the battle that our nation faces. And God, I am confident in this. The best days of Mayor Giuliani are not behind him, but the best days are right in front of him. That you have called him into this season. And Father, I thank you that your grace rests upon him, that your favor is upon him. And I just ask that you would give him divine wisdom, that you would give him divine insight, that he would know how to navigate these uncharted waters, and that he would have favor even in an unfavorable season. God, I thank you that you're bringing more and more people alongside him, just as it took people to hold up the arms of Moses when the Israelites were fighting their battles. Father, I thank you. You're sending people along to hold up the arms of President Donald Trump and Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Peter Navarro, those who are being persecuted at the highest level. God, I thank you that your favor is upon him, and we declare it by faith tonight in the name that is above every single name. We declare it in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and everybody in agreement said, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, you all thank Mayor Giuliani for coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's got an early flight tomorrow morning back to New York City.
Thank you.
Mayor, we are so grateful for you being here
Thank
tonight.
you.
Come on, let's let him know we're grateful for him coming tonight. Mayor, we're going to take you back this way.
Thank you.
God bless you guys. Enjoy the
Is to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world. The greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply